This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Bruschi.
The story that we are diving into here is one that, if you have children, I have to say, is just going to make you sick. There's really no other way around it. If you're in the United States, you may not have heard much about this story. If you're in the UK, you probably most certainly have. I'm talking about Lucy Letby. This is the nurse who stands accused of killing countless babies in the hospital where she was a NICU nurse by injecting them with insulin, with air, with all different sorts of methods of killing babies. It sounds like something out of a horror movie because it is. And Lucy Letby, if you look at her physically, she couldn't be any more unassuming. She looks like just your average young nurse that's getting into this and is learning the ropes. And then you hear what she was allegedly capable of, you will be shocked. Now, this is a case that has been ongoing for quite some time. The trial in itself actually started last fall in the UK. And we want to bring it to you because it is still in progress. It started last fall, it took a break, and it's ongoing again right now. But in order to have context on this whole story, I want to bring you the trial in sequential order. So what I'm going to do here is we are going to start going through the trial and each day of the trial and reporting on the trial day by day until we get caught up to where things are at. That way you all have an idea of how this trial has been progressing from the beginning. So, without further ado, and I should tell you this too, I know I always have so many things on my mind. If you want to exclusively follow the case of Lucy Letby, we've created a podcast channel for that as well. Very easy to find. Just search Nurse of Death, the Lucy Letby story. That is what it is called. So, with that being said, let's send it out to our reporter to hear the coverage of what happened day one of Lucy Letby on trial.
On that fateful day at Manchester Crown Court, a somber atmosphere had enveloped the courtroom as the trial of Lucy Letby, a former neonatal nurse at the Countess of Chester Hospital, commenced. Facing a chilling list of charges, including 7 counts of murder and 15 counts of attempted murder, Letby's case sent shivers down the spines of all who were present. The air was thick with tension as Letby, her once blonde hair now darkened, entered her not guilty pleas while surrounded by 3 members of security staff. Family members of her alleged victims listened in anguish as the names of the children, who could not be named for legal reasons, were read out. As the trial unfolded, it was expected to last up to 6 months. Letby, originally from Hereford, was born on January 4, 1990, and studied for her nursing degree at the University of Chester. At the time of the alleged events, she was a nurse at the Countess of Chester Hospital, working in the neonatal unit since her qualification a few years prior. The prosecution, led by Nick Johnson KC, presented a detailed and disturbing account of the alleged offences, which took place between June 2015 and June 2016. They claimed that the deaths and collapses of 17 babies were not naturally occurring tragedies, but the work of Letby, who they described as the constant malevolent presence when things turned to the worst for these 17 children. The court heard that doctors had been unable to find genuine medical reasons for the deaths and collapses. Cheshire Constabulary commissioned a review by experienced doctors with no connection to the Countess of Chester Hospital. The review suggested that someone in the neonatal unit poisoned 2 children with insulin during the middle of 2015 to the middle of 2016. The prosecution argued that the only reasonable conclusion from the evidence was that someone had deliberately poisoned the babies with insulin and that it was no accident. If the prosecution was right about the deliberate poisonings, the fact that there were 2 such incidents would help the jury decide whether other crimes had been committed or whether they were simply tragic coincidences. Johnson went on to describe the various methods by which the children were allegedly harmed and killed, which included injecting air into their bloodstream, causing an air embolus, administering insulin, or overfeeding them with milk. Jurors were shown a chart displaying the nurses who were present on duty when the alleged criminal incidents took place. The chart demonstrated that Letby was the only person present on all 3 occasions during the first 3 alleged offenses. The prosecution argued that, based on a process of elimination, the overall picture was self-evidently obvious. In his opening statement, Johnson described the case as a complicated one, involving 7 allegations of murder and allegations of attempted murder of 10 other children. He alleged that Letby sometimes tried to kill the same baby more than once, and that in some instances, she succeeded in killing a baby after multiple attempts. As the trial progressed, Johnson turned to the individual cases of each child, starting with Child A, the baby boy, born just a minute behind his twin sister at 8:31 p.m. on June 8, 2015, was admitted to the intensive care room at the neo-natal unit of the hospital. He was in good condition and did well, breathing without extra oxygen and given expressed breast milk. Letby came on to work the night shift at 7:30 p.m. and became the designated nurse for Child A at 8 p.m. At 8:26 p.m., Letby called a doctor to the baby's incubator, and the on-call consultant was also alerted. Both noted an odd discoloration on the child's skin. Patches of pink over blue skin that appeared and disappeared. This unusual phenomenon would later become a hallmark of some of the cases in which Letby had allegedly injected air into the bloodstream of a victim. Despite resuscitation attempts, Child A was pronounced dead at 8:58 p.m., within 90 minutes of Letby coming on duty. The infant's death was referred to a coroner who recorded the cause of death as unascertained. The court heard that 4 medical experts reviewed the case. The first expert stated that Child A was a well infant before their death. He said the fatal event was consistent with a deliberate injection of air or something else into the boy's circulation a minute or 2 before his collapse. A second expert concurred that Child A's collapse was not a natural event and added that the most likely reason was air administered deliberately by someone who knew it would cause significant harm. The first day of the trial painted a harrowing picture of the alleged crimes committed by Lucy Letby. As the trial continued, more details and evidence would be presented to the jury, who would ultimately determine her guilt or innocence. It was a day that would not be forgotten by those in attendance, as they embarked on a journey through a story marked by tragedy, mystery, and the search for truth.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Bruschi.
That it is. This is truly a story that once you dive into it, you just can't fathom what had been done to these kids. We're going to work you through it day by day. This trial originally starting to take place last October 2022. It is ongoing today. But like I said, I want to put this in contextual order for you. So that's the summary of day 1 of the trial of Lucy Letby. We'll have more for you right here on the feed. Press subscribe so you don't miss any of it. And if you want to follow this case exclusively on its own channel, all you have to do is search Nurse of Death, the Lucy Letby story. There'll be much more from us coming to you right there. My name's Tony Bruschi. Stay with us.